There is a country tucked so deep into the folds of the eastern Himalayas that for most of human history, the outside world did not know it existed. A kingdom where mountains rise past 7,000 meters and more than 70% of the land remains covered in ancient, untouched forest. A nation that never fell to colonial rule, and that chose, deliberately, to measure its success not by how much money it makes, but by how happy its people are. That country is Bhutan. And this is the story of how people live here. Landing at Paro International Airport, the only international airport in the country, the first thing you notice is not the terminal. It is the mountains. The runway sits in a deep river valley ringed by peaks so steep that only a handful of pilots in the world are qualified to land here. The plane banks hard between walls of rock, and suddenly you are in Bhutan. From Paro, the road winds east toward Thimphu, the capital, sitting at 2,300 meters where the Thimphu River cuts through the valley. It is the only capital city on Earth without a single traffic light. When officials installed 1 year ago, the public complained. It felt too impersonal, so they removed it. To this day, a police officer directs cars by hand at the main intersection. Bhutan is roughly the size of Switzerland. Fewer than 800,000 people live here, less than a single medium-sized European city. But spread across high mountain passes, deep river gorges, and terraced fields, those 800,000 people have built something the rest of the world has been trying to understand for decades. A society where happiness is government policy. Gross national happiness was introduced by the fourth king in the 1970s. When a journalist asked him about Bhutan's GDP, he replied that gross national happiness was more important than gross national product. The world was confused. But Bhutan meant it. Every government policy must pass through a gross national happiness screening. If a policy damages the happiness of the people, it does not proceed, no matter how much money it might make. So what does daily life actually look like in the only country on Earth that has chosen happiness as its guiding principle? To understand that, we begin with the land itself. Everything about life in Bhutan begins with geography. The country sits entirely within the eastern Himalayas, sandwiched between India and China. It is barely 170 kilometers wide at its broadest point. Yet within that narrow band, the elevation changes by more than 7,000 meters. In the south, where the land flattens into the Indian plains, the climate is subtropical. Humidity hangs heavy. Rice paddies glow an impossible green. Wild elephants occasionally wander across the unfenced border. Drive north for just a few hours, and everything changes. The middle Himalayan belt is where most Bhutanese people live. Paro Valley, at 2,200 meters, is wide and fertile, a patchwork of rice terraces and apple orchards. Thimphu Valley sits slightly higher, the river cutting a silver ribbon through the capital. Bumthang, further east, is a collection of 4 connected valleys: Chokor, Tang, Ura, and Chume, known across the country for buckwheat fields and dairy farms. Punakha, lower and warmer at 1,200 meters, grows bananas and oranges. Its famous dzong sitting at the confluence of 2 glacial rivers, the Pho Chu and the Mo Chu, the Father River and the Mother River. Then there is Phobjika Valley, a wide U-shaped glacial bowl at 2,900 meters. In winter, hundreds of endangered black-necked cranes fly down from the Tibetan plateau and make this valley their home. The Bhutanese consider these cranes sacred. Farmers plant their fields knowing some of the harvest belongs to the birds. No one complains. In the far north, the Great Himalayas rise past 7,000 meters. Gangkhar Puensum, at 7,570 meters, is the highest unclimbed mountain in the world. Bhutan has never permitted mountaineering on its highest peaks. They are considered sacred, the dwelling places of gods. This vertical geography creates something unique, an entire nation compressed into climate zones that anywhere else would stretch across thousands of kilometers. The constitution requires at least 60% forest cover for all time. Current figures exceed 70%. Bhutan is one of the only carbon-negative countries on Earth, absorbing more carbon than it produces. Its rivers generate so much hydropower that the country exports electricity to India. This is the land that shapes how people wake up, work, eat, and sleep. And what they see from almost everywhere are mountains. Endless blue-grey mountains fading into the distance, prayer flags strung across ridges, and the white walls and golden roofs of a dzong anchoring every valley. Morning in rural Bhutan begins before the sun clears the mountains. In the terraced villages of Paro Valley, first light touches the highest fields, then slowly pours down the hillside. Farmers are already working, have been for an hour or more. Rice, potatoes, chilies, buckwheat. The rhythm of the seasons dictates everything. In Bumthang, mist hangs in the valley until mid-morning. Children walk to school along narrow paths between fields, wearing national dress, go for boys, kira for girls, bright woven fabrics flashing against the green. The walk might take 45 minutes. No one thinks this is unusual. In Thimphu, the day starts differently. Traffic builds along the main road, but even here the pace differs from any other capital on Earth. People walk slowly. They stop to talk. The thin air at 2,300 meters makes you move at a different tempo, whether you realize it or not. A typical rural morning begins with butter tea, suja, tea leaves churned with yak butter and salt, thick and intensely savory. It is an acquired taste for outsiders, but for Bhutanese people, it is the taste of morning itself. Multiple cups are normal. The ritual is unhurried. After tea, the household scatters, children to school, adults to fields or town. Grandparents remain, spinning prayer wheels or walking to the local temple to light butter lamps. By midday, the Himalayan sun is strong even at altitude. Lunch of red rice, ema dachi, perhaps dried yak meat, eaten in the shade of a farmhouse wall. Afternoons slow down. In small towns like Punakha or Wangdu Phodrang, shops close for a couple of hours. The heat enforces a natural siesta. Old men play kuru, traditional darts, in the town square. Women sit in groups, weaving or talking. The pace is not lazy, it is simply not rushed in the way the outside world understands rushing. Evening arrives, and the temperature drops quickly. A mountain phenomenon that catches visitors off guard, but that locals have lived with their entire lives. Fires are lit. More butter tea is made. Dinner is the family meal. Everyone gathered. Red rice and multiple dishes of vegetables and cheese. Chilies in some form always. The day's events are recounted. Children do homework by a single bulb. And early, the household sleeps. This is the pattern across Bhutan. Whether in the rice valleys of Punakha, the buckwheat fields of Bumthang, the high pastures of Laya, or the quiet streets of Thimphu after dark. The rhythm of daily life is shaped by mountains, seasons, and the understanding that some things cannot be hurried. The traditional Bhutanese farmhouse is one of the most beautiful domestic structures anywhere in the world. Built from rammed earth, stone, and timber, it rises 2 or 3 stories from the hillside. The ground floor holds animals, cows, sometimes yaks, whose body heat rises through wooden floorboards to warm the living spaces above. It is an ancient form of central heating, elegant in its simplicity. The upper floors are where the family lives. Wooden windows intricately carved with traditional motifs, clouds, flowers, the endless knot, are painted in bright colors. Even the simplest farmhouse looks like a piece of art. In Bhutan, beauty is not a luxury reserved for temples. It is built into the walls of every home. In Paro and Bumthang, these farmhouses cluster in villages of 20 or 30 families. In remote valleys like Ha or Luense, a single farmhouse might stand alone on a hillside. the nearest neighbour a 30-minute walk away. In Thimphu, newer apartment blocks have appeared, but even these incorporate traditional elements: the sloped roofs, the carved window frames, the painted beams. The traditional household is multi-generational: grandparents, parents, children, sometimes unmarried aunts and uncles, all under one roof. This is changing in urban areas, but in the countryside, the extended family remains the norm. Land inheritance in much of Bhutan follows a matrilineal pattern. In central and eastern regions, daughters often inherit the family land, and when a woman marries, the husband commonly moves into her family home. Women are not dependents here. They are the anchors of the household. This has shaped rural society in profound ways. Family structure is tight. Meals are eaten together. Decisions are made collectively. Elders are consulted on important matters: which crops to plant, whether to sell a cow, what to do about a son who wants to move to Thimphu. Respect for age is woven into the language itself, with different forms of address used when speaking to someone older or of higher status. Children grow up with a sense of belonging that is difficult to find in more individualistic societies. They are not just members of a nuclear family. They are part of a household, a village, a valley. Their cousins live next door. Their grandparents are in the next room. The monastery on the hill is not a distant institution. It is where festivals are held, where the community gathers. There is a Bhutanese saying, "You do not build a house. Your community builds it with you." When a family in villages like those in Punakha or Bumthang decides to construct a new home, neighbours arrive with their labour and tools. No one is paid. The understanding is simple. When your time comes to build, the same people will do the same for you. It is a system of mutual obligation that predates money and predates the state. You cannot talk about Bhutan without talking about chilies. This is not a cuisine that uses chilies sparingly as a spice. In Bhutan, chilies are a vegetable. They are the main ingredient. The national dish, emmer dachi, translates simply to chili cheese. Chilies cooked with local cheese made from yak or cow milk, sometimes with onions and garlic. It is served with red rice and forms the center of every meal, every day. There are variations: kewa dachi with potatoes, shamu dachi with mushrooms, but emmer dachi is the original. The cheese is crumbly, slightly sour, and melts into the chilies to create a thick, fiery stew. Visitors often struggle at first. Bhutanese food does not adjust to foreign palates. Red rice is the other staple. Grown in the terraced paddies of Paro and Punakha, it is a short-grain variety with a nutty flavour and chewy texture. Unlike white rice, it retains the bran layer, giving it both its colour and its nutritional value. A Bhutanese meal without red rice is incomplete. In the highlands of Laya and Lunana, yak is the primary source of everything: meat, milk, butter, hair for weaving, hide for leather. Nothing is wasted. In Bumthang, buckwheat noodles called puta are a local speciality. In the eastern regions around Trashigang and Mongar, maize features prominently, ground into flour, fermented into ara, the traditional grain spirit offered to guests as a gesture of welcome. Food is tied to the Buddhist calendar. On auspicious days, many Bhutanese abstain from meat entirely, a tension between dietary tradition and religious principle that is not hidden, simply part of the texture of daily life. Meals are eaten around the bukari, the wood-burning stove that heats the home. In winter, when temperatures drop well below freezing even in the valleys, the family gathers around it for warmth and the slow, unhurried conversation that fills the long Himalayan evenings. Culture in Bhutan is not something that happens on special occasions. It is the air people breathe. The national dress, ga'o and kira, is not ceremonial. It is required in schools, government offices, and formal settings. The fabrics are hand-woven, the patterns specific to different regions. A trained eye can tell where someone is from, what valley their family has lived in for generations, just by looking at the weave of their kira. Temples and monasteries are not tourist attractions. They are living institutions. In Thimphu, civil servants attend morning prayers at the Tashichodzong before beginning their workday. In Paro, the Rinpung Dzong dominates the valley as an active center of both religious and administrative life. Monks in deep maroon robes walk the same streets as schoolchildren in uniform. The sacred and the everyday are not separate categories here. They coexist completely naturally. The Bhutanese economy is small, but it is not simple. Agriculture employs more than half the population. In the valleys of Paro, Punakha, and Bumthang, farmers work terraced fields that have been in their families for centuries. Rice, maize, potatoes, buckwheat, chilies, subsistence crops first, sold at local markets second. The connection between work and survival is direct. A bad harvest is felt in the stomach. In the highlands, Laya, Lunana, the pastures above 4,000 meters, yak herding remains the primary livelihood. Herders move with the seasons, following their animals between summer and winter grazing grounds. The days are long, the weather brutal, the isolation almost total for months at a time. Yet yak herding has persisted because it provides food, clothing, shelter, and identity all at once. Tourism is the second largest source of foreign currency, but Bhutan does not do mass tourism. The policy is high value, low impact. Visitors pay a sustainable development fee, currently $100 per day, which goes directly toward education, healthcare, and infrastructure. Bhutan sees fewer tourists in a year than some beach resorts see in a day, but each visitor contributes meaningfully. Hydropower is the quiet giant. The country's rivers, fed by Himalayan glaciers and monsoon rains, generate enormous amounts of electricity, far more than Bhutan can use. The surplus is sold to India, funding schools, hospitals, and roads. Most Bhutanese people never see the dams on the Wangchu in Chukar, or the Karichu in the east, but they feel their presence in the form of free healthcare and free education. Handicrafts form a culturally significant part of the economy. In Bumthang, weavers produce woolen textiles from yak and sheep wool. In Thimphu, the National Institute for Zorig Chusum, the 13 traditional arts, trains young people in thangka painting, wood carving, embroidery, and metalwork. A thangka can take months to complete, slow, precise, meditative work. The civil service remains the largest formal employer. Government jobs are stable, respected, and provide a pension. But the number of graduates now exceeds the number of civil service vacancies. Youth unemployment in Thimphu is a growing concern. Young people with degrees, ambition, and nowhere to put them. This is the tension at the heart of Bhutan's economy. How to create enough meaningful work for an educated generation without dismantling the agricultural life that has sustained the country for centuries. Every developing nation faces this question. Bhutan faces it with the added constraint of gross national happiness. Any solution must work economically, culturally, and spiritually. Once a year in every district across Bhutan, the valley comes alive with the Chechu. The word means 10th day. These festivals are held on the 10th day of a month in the Tibetan lunar calendar, commemorating Guru Rinpoche, the 8th century saint who brought Buddhism to the Himalayas. But the Chechu is far more than a religious observance. In Thimphu, the capital's Chechu fills the courtyard of the Tashichodzong with thousands. Families walk for hours, sometimes days, from their villages to attend. They dress in their finest. They bring picnics. Children run between the legs of adults, laughing. The masked dances are the centerpiece, monks in elaborate costumes and carved wooden masks performing the sham. Sacred dances telling stories from Buddhist scripture. A single dance can last an hour. For the audience, watching these dances is not entertainment. It is spiritual participation. Seeing them is believed to bring merit, to cleanse sins, like a visual blessing entering through the eyes. In Paro, the Chechu features the unfurling of a thongdral, an enormous silk religious image, several stories tall, displayed only at dawn on the final day. The moment it is revealed, the crowd surges forward. Touching it, or simply being in its presence, is believed to liberate the viewer from suffering. By mid-morning, it is rolled up again, not to be seen for another year. Social life revolves around community. In villages around Punakha and Wangdu Phodrang, archery is not a sport. It is a social event lasting an entire day. Two teams shoot at a small wooden target 145 meters away, nearly twice the Olympic distance. When someone hits, their teammates perform a slow celebratory dance while the opposing team shouts distractions. There is food, there is aura, there is laughter. An archery match is a party disguised as a competition. In Bumthang, the Ura Yakcho festival brings the entire valley together for days of dancing and feasting. In the Ha Valley, the summer festival celebrates the unique culture of the Haps with traditional music and horsemanship. Every valley has its own rhythm, its own calendar of gatherings. The isolation of the mountains has produced not just distinct dialects, but distinct identities. Buddhism arrived here in the 8th century and has shaped every aspect of society since. It is present in the prayer flags fluttering on every ridge, the prayer wheels turned by every stream, the small shrines in every home, the chortens at every crossroads. You do not go to a temple to find the sacred is already everywhere. No honest portrait of a country can be painted in only bright colors. The terrain that makes Bhutan spectacular also makes it immensely difficult to live in. Roads are narrow, winding, and constantly threatened by landslides during the monsoon. A journey from Thimphu to Trashigang in the Far East, just 400 kilometers as the crow flies, can take more than 2 days by car. The mountains that protect Bhutan's culture are the same mountains that isolate its communities. Healthcare has improved dramatically. Basic services are free and available in every district. But specialized care often requires a journey abroad that many families cannot afford. In the remote villages of Lunana, the nearest health clinic may be a 2-day walk away. If someone falls seriously ill during winter, when the high passes are blocked with snow, the options are limited. Education has achieved near universal primary enrollment, a remarkable feat given the terrain, but quality varies. Rural schools in places like Luenz or Jemgang struggle to retain qualified teachers. Children showing academic promise are often sent to boarding schools in Thimphu, a separation difficult for families. The child who goes to the city for school may not come back, and when they don't, the village loses a piece of its future. Youth unemployment is perhaps the most pressing challenge. Thimphu's young population has grown faster than the economy can absorb. University graduates find themselves without clear paths. Some turn to entrepreneurship. Others leave, seeking opportunities in Australia, the United Kingdom, or the Middle East. Emigration has accelerated noticeably. The pull of the outside world is powerful. Smartphones have arrived in even the most remote villages, bringing curated lives from Instagram and TikTok. Young Bhutanese see possibilities their parents never knew existed. In Thimphu coffee shops, you see it in the clothes and conversations. In rural Bumthang, you see it in the empty houses left behind. There are quieter challenges too. Domestic violence persists, and cultural norms around family privacy can make it difficult for victims to seek help. Mental health is beginning to be discussed openly, but services remain limited and stigma endures. The environment faces pressure from climate change Bhutan did almost nothing to cause. Glacial lakes in the high Himalayas are growing as temperatures rise, held back by natural moraine dams that pose catastrophic flooding risks to villages downstream, one of the smallest carbon footprints on Earth, paying the price for the emissions of others. These challenges are real and not hidden. Most Bhutanese people speak openly about them. There is no pretense that life here is perfect, only that it is life, with all the complexity and contradiction that implies. The tension between old and new is visible everywhere in Bhutan today. The monk in maroon robes texting on a smartphone in Thimphu's Clock Tower Square. The young woman in a kira with sneakers instead of traditional boots. The cafes serving cappuccinos next to shops selling prayer wheels. Thimphu is where this tension is most visible. The capital has grown rapidly, absorbing people from rural areas seeking education and employment. Apartment buildings have appeared on hillsides that were farmland a generation ago. And yet Thimphu remains unmistakably Bhutanese. The buildings follow traditional architectural codes. The dzongs and temples are not relics, they are working institutions. The king lives not in a distant palace, but in a modest cottage by the river. In Paro, the tension takes a different form. The international airport brings a steady flow of visitors, and the town has more hotels and restaurants than 20 years ago. But Paro is also home to Taktsang, the Tiger Nest Monastery, clinging to a cliff face 900 meters above the valley floor. It is the most iconic image of Bhutan, and it represents something tourism cannot touch. The monastery is a living place of worship, reached by a steep 2-hour climb. The sacred and the commercial exist side by side, uneasily but peacefully. In rural areas like Bumthang or the Ha Valley, the tension is quieter, but no less real. Farmers who have never used a computer now have children who live on their phones. Traditional practices are being questioned by a generation that has seen what life looks like elsewhere. The question is not whether change will come, it is whether change can be managed in a way that preserves what matters. Electricity has transformed rural life. Villages that used paraffin lamps a generation ago now have lights, refrigerators, televisions. This is mostly positive. Better healthcare, better education, less isolation. But it also brings the outside world into the home in ways never possible before. A farmer in a remote village can now watch American movies, Korean dramas, Indian cricket. Their sense of what is normal, what is possible, all of this shifts. Television was only introduced in 1999. The decision was controversial, and some still worry it has eroded traditional culture. They are not entirely wrong, but culture in Bhutan has not collapsed. It has adapted, as all living cultures do. The challenge is not to stop change. That is impossible. It is to change in a way that remains recognizably Bhutanese. And so we come to the final question. Why do people stay? Bhutan is a small country in a rapidly changing world. Its people have access to the internet, education, and opportunities abroad. Some leave, most stay. When asked why, Bhutanese people rarely talk about money. They talk about peace. The peace of knowing their neighbors, of living close to nature, of belonging to a community that values connection over possessions. There are practical reasons too. In places like Paro, Bumthang, and Ha, land is more than property. It is family history, identity, and belonging. And there is the influence of Buddhism, with its emphasis on contentment and the understanding that happiness comes not from having more, but from needing less. This does not mean life in Bhutan is perfect. There is hardship, uncertainty, and loss, just as there is everywhere else. But there is also a deep sense that the good life is not somewhere far away. It is here, with these people, in this place. Perhaps that is Bhutan's greatest achievement. In a world always chasing more, it has preserved the idea that happiness is something built slowly, through community, purpose, and connection. The world has many bigger countries and many richer countries, but there is only one Bhutan. If this journey through Bhutan moved you, if it made you think differently about what happiness really looks like, leave a single word in the comments below. Just one word. Peace. Explore more. Worry less.